Elspeth here from Vegan News Daily, and today we're going to make mulligatawny soup. This is a favorite soup in my household, and I'll tell you more about it as we get going. But first we need to get some onions cooking on the stove. So I have my pot heating up here, and I'm just going to show you how I cut an onion real quick. So the onion has a stem and a root. I'm going to first, using a pinch grip on the knife, I'm going to cut off the stem side, and that'll give me a nice flat surface to make the onion stable. Then I'm just going to cut halfway through the root on this end, and I'll peel back the first sort of layer of the onion, the skin and the first layer. So I'll just peel that back. So I'm going to get that out of the way. And then I just put my hand flat on top of the onion, and I do a couple of horizontal slices. For this size onion, I'm going to do 3 slices. And then I just turn the onion towards me, and I do a couple of vertical slices towards the root. And then I'll show you with my bare claw grip. I simply slice into the onion, and this is going to ensure that I get uniform size pieces of onion. So when it cooks, it's all going to cook at the same time. So I'm just going to take this onion and pop it into my pot, which is already turned on, so you can hear that sizzling noise. And I'm going to get the onion skins out of the way in my compost, and I'll do the same with the other half of the onion. So again, I just peel back the first layer. I do 2 or 3 horizontal slices, and I turn the root away from me, and I do some vertical slices towards the root. And then using a bare claw grip, I guide the knife along back towards the root end of the onion. And you have all this wonderful, uniform size onion pieces to throw in. So and I'll just stir this onion in the pot. I don't cook with any oil at all, but if things start to get a little bit too sticky in the bottom of the pot, I always have some water on hand. I can give a little splash of water to make sure that it doesn't stick. So the next thing we need to do is toast up some spices. Turn on my front burner. So the spices that we have to toast here are mustard. This is mustard seeds. These are tiny little seeds, and some of you might know the parable of the mustard seed. This tiny little seed grows into a great big tree. I also have some cumin seeds and some coriander seeds. So I'm just going to put those in the pan. And whenever you're toasting spices, just make sure that you stay close by, because they can burn very quickly. So I just am simply going to swirl the pan around every now and again, just so that they don't burn on the pan. So that's what we're doing with the spices. And by toasting the spices, we're going to get a whole lot more flavor out of the spices that'll work wonderfully in the soup. So the onions are sauteing here. And then I'm going to add the rest of the mirepoix. Mirepoix is a combination of onions, carrots, and celery, and it's the base for many soups and stews. Well, almost every soup that I make has a mirepoix base. So usually equal parts onion, carrot, and celery. For this one, I have about a cup of onion. I have, I think, about 3/4 of a cup or half a cup of celery, and 3/4 of a cup of carrots. So carrots all going in, and they're just nicely diced. And then I have about 3 cloves of garlic, so I'm going to put the garlic in here too. And ginger is another flavor that we're going to have in this. So all the time I got to keep remembering my spices, because I don't want them to get too toasted. But as soon as you can start to smell the spices, that's pretty much when they're ready for to be taken out and crushed. So I'm getting a nice aroma here. So I'm going to turn off the heat. So it doesn't take very long at all. And I'm going to just add all of these lovely spices to my mortar, to my pestle and mortar. And I'm just going to set that aside for a moment and show you what else I'm adding to my pot here. So ginger is the predominant flavor here, so I'm going to add some fresh ginger. So this is what the ginger root looks like, and it has a whole lot of anti-inflammatory properties, which are another bonus of this fabulous soup. I'm also going to add some apple. So this is just some diced apple. Not common to have apple in a soup, but it's going to add that sweet flavor that we need to round out all the flavors. The apples are going in, and then I have a couple of tomatoes here that I'm just going to dice up. So those will go in, along with some spices. So I have the spices that we toasted up that I need to grind in my pestle and mortar, and the other spices are red chili, black pepper, and curry powder. Now curry is not one single spice, it's a whole lot of different spices that make the combination called curry powder. And so I'm going to add that in here now. And one of the parts of curry powder, the part that gives it that lovely yellow flavor, is turmeric. And I thought I'd show you what turmeric actually looks like. This is how you can buy it in a powdered form in the grocery store, but this is typically how you see it in the grocery store. You can see how orange or yellow that is. And this is what it looks like when it's growing in the ground. It's actually a root. So much like ginger is a root, turmeric is a root as well. And both very anti-inflammatory. And I don't hesitate to add them to a whole lot of my recipes. So kitchen smelling fabulous, and that is sauteing very nicely. But I've got to get going and crush all these lovely spices, toasted spices in here. So all I do is I just sort of grind around, and because they're toasted, they break down very quickly. So wow, it smells really, really good. Don't skip this step. I mean, really. Get some whole spices, toast them up, and borrow a mortar and pestle if you have to, but I would definitely recommend you have one of these in your kitchen. So I've got this fabulous combination going on here. All I need to do now is add some lentils. I like to use red lentils. They cook very fast. They going to pack a nice protein component to this recipe, so that's going in. And all I need is some liquid here. So the liquid that I'm going to use, I'm just going to use about 4 cups of water. You could use vegetable stock or water, but I feel like there's enough going on right here with all of these flavors. So I'm using water, and then I'm just going to stir it together. And I'm going to pop on a lid, and I'm going to let it cook for about 15 minutes. So Mulligatawny soup was made very popular by the British when they ruled India up until like 1947. The British ruled India, and so this was a very favorite soup of the British during their rule of India, and it is an absolute favorite of my family. So we're just going to let that go for 15 minutes, and I'll show you what I do next. So the soup's been simmering for about 15 minutes, and I did check on it at one time, and I thought I needed to add a little more liquid. So just make sure that all the liquid doesn't cook off too much. You might want a more watery soup, so you could add more vegetable stock or more water, or a thicker stew-like soup. So at this point, I'm going to add in some rice. This is just some basmati rice that's pre-cooked, so that goes in. And I'm also going to add some coconut milk. This is totally optional. It does add a lovely flavor to it. So I'll add coconut milk in there. And then I give a little squeeze of lemon juice as well. So lemon juice is going to brighten it up and give a little bit of the salty flavor, savory flavor. So that'll go in. I might even do a little bit more. Okay. And at this point, all I'm doing is just making sure that the rice and the coconut milk is heated up, and I'll season the soup and then we will plate it. So I'm going to give it a little taste right here and see if we need anything more added to this. So I'm just going to taste the broth part of it. It's hot. It's pretty good. So salt-free seasoning, the type that I use is Benson's Table Tasty, and I'm just going to give a little sprinkle of this. I could just do this at the table and season my own personal bowl, but I think the whole family is going to want to have a little bit of that. Love adding black pepper. I did add black pepper earlier, but I add more. And I tend to like my food spicy, so if you don't want that red chili pepper in or less curry powder, go ahead and make it your own. So at this point, you just need to choose a bowl and ladle it in, and I'll show you how I like to garnish it. So you can see it's very thick. It's like a stew. This is a whole dinner. So I like to get a few scoops of the vegetables and then maybe just spoon in a little broth at the top. So that's it. Just a lovely bowl of thick, stewy soup. So I like to sprinkle on top some scallions, which I've cut on a diagonal. So I sprinkle a few of those on top. I also do coriander, which some of you might know as cilantro, but when making Indian food or Thai food, we talk about it as coriander. And then I have gone ahead and toasted up a few cashew nuts as well. Don't need to add any of these components at all, but it does make it rather beautiful, and also adds a little delicious flavor for that first bite taste. So that's it for the mulligatawny soup. Really quick, really easy, and really delicious. Enjoy. And if you would like more of these fabulous recipes, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Enjoy.